Kyle Snyder, coming off back-to-back world team titles. In men's freestyle, you've had, I think, 5 total, but you've had 3 in the last, since 2017, right? So not even a decade, you've had 3 team titles. Talk to me about, in your perspective, why do you think we're having such unprecedented success in the U.S. on the men's freestyle, international circuit?
Yeah, I mean, if I were just to use myself as an example, in my senior year of high school, I moved out here to the Olympic Training Center and lived here for 11 months, and I trained with Dustin Kilgore, John Reeder, Jack Jensen, was coached by Brandon Slay, Coach Zadig, Zeke Jones, plus getting to wrestle with world and Olympic team members that would come in for camp every once in a while. So, in 11 months, I probably gained, who knows, years and years of experience. So by the time I was a freshman in college, I was very, wrestling college guys was normal to me. And then even wrestling international senior level guys I was used to that. So I think that plays a large role, just our development system. I wrestled in RTCs, my whole high school career. I was driving to different RTCs and training with college guys and getting the best coaching that I could. And, now RTCs are just so strong. The Ninja Line Wrestling Club has tons of guys that, been on world teams, world medalists, Olympic champions. And it's, you can train together, and people are competing longer too. So I think there's a bunch of different reasons why, but we have a good process for development right now, and I think we just also have some really good wrestlers that are currently competing.
In 2023, the lineup at the Worlds was stacked, right? You had all the best teams there. It was a really tough tournament, obviously, World Championships, but what set the 2023 world team that wins the world title apart from the world field? Iran, Russia, all of them. What was the difference there? That group of guys.
Yeah, we've had a lot of guys that we had a good amount of new guys on the team, but we also had a lot of people that had won world championships before and had done a lot of international wrestling. Zane Richards, it was his first world team, but he's been competing at the senior level for a long time. And if you just look at our returning medalists, Zane, Dave, me. So you got 4 returning medalists, and we knew the other guys were going to be good. Paris and Zahid and Chance and Vito. We just, Nick Lee, we knew we had a good team, so just have a lot of good wrestlers and guys who want to compete and are enthusiastic about wrestling hard and winning.
6 of the 10 team members were different year over year. You won the Worlds last year as a team, changed 6 members, and you won Worlds again. That seems like pretty remarkable that you can do that. What does that say about the depth of wrestling in the U.S., how we're training and competing, and making each other better stateside to succeed on this world level? How do you see that from your perspective?
Yeah, I think that we're a lot of weight classes in the United States. We have a couple guys who could, win the world championships if they made the team. 57 kilo. We have Gilman sitting out, and he's a world champion. 65, Yanni, is a world finalist. 74, Nolf is one of the best guys in the world. 79, Bros is a world champion. So Jaden at 92 has been a world champion. So we got a lot of guys that weren't on the team that are some of the best athletes in the world. So we got a lot of depth, and I also think, once you get on the team now, it's like the expectation is to win. So when that's the expectation, I think everybody just competes better. nobody is just really satisfied with just making a world team anymore. It's you got to go and win. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, and, we're even having guys transfer out of countries and have success, and they are doing that for obvious reasons. They might not make the team in the U.S. or have to go through this whole process. But are we truly like at the point where if you make the U.S. team, you are an immediate contender for the world title, like no matter what at this point? Like it seems like we're at that point with our depth.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, we have a lot of world champions at pretty much every weight. I mean, especially when you break it down to 6 weight classes, I think we can win every weight at the Olympics. Obviously, it's tough, but we have good enough guys.
So going back to 2017, that was when we sort of broke the spell of not winning worlds, and you were on that team. You've been on the other two as well the last couple of years. From your perspective, like, what's it like being the sort of a pivotal figure or consistent figure on these teams, as we're having the success over the last decade?
It's a blessing. I mean, I love competing, and wrestling is a tough sport because your whole year is dependent upon 2 tournaments. The Final X or the Olympic trials, and then the World or Olympic Championships. So, you can wrestle well all year, but if you don't win at the Final X, then who cares? And then once you make the team, if you don't win at the World Championships, then really, for a lot of guys, it's like, who cares, But I'm thankful to have been able to make so many teams and win and compete for medals, and it's just a blessing from God that I can do what I love to do and what I believe He's called me to do, and so I'm really thankful.
Bringing up Paris, I think that's one of the coolest moments in U.S. wrestling history, right? Now I was there, I felt the arena and the vibes and everything, but it comes down to your match at the very end, and you get it done over Saturday, and you guys obviously have gone on to have this big rivalry in the sport, but at that point in time, I mean, the wrestling world just sort of stood still in that moment, and we came out on top. When I bring that up, like, what do you think about that day? What memories do you have of that day? How does it make you feel?
I mean, obviously it feels good. I love competing, and every time I compete, my plan is to win. And that match in particular, I felt like I wrestled really hard and didn't hold back. So that's always a good feeling. And then I love the cooler the circumstance, the better it is. I mean, even the venue was sold out. Like you said, the team title was on the line, and that's all things that I get excited about. So it was fun.
So for you, I mean, going back to 2015 in Vegas, you've consistently made the world or the Olympic team since then, right? Like, you've been the guy at your weight class, and you've medaled each time. How do you keep consistency over time, longevity over time in the sport where you see, the young guys are always coming for you? There's always a new challenge, and you were one of them at one point.
Yeah.
You took out an Olympic champion to make your team, right? Your first one. So how do you keep that consistency and evolve? I'm sure you have to evolve to a certain degree over time to stay on top.
Biggest thing is just staying humble, and what keeps me humble is my faith in Jesus and studying the Bible. You don't have to read very far in the Bible to get to somewhere, either an example or it explicitly saying, be humble. And so I know that all the skill that I have and all the ability is just a gift from God, and He's even given me the strength to work hard and to stay healthy, and so I'm going to compete as hard as I can and train as hard as I can and be open-minded about different things and keep getting better. And I think God's just kept me hungry and motivated to become a better wrestler, and to compete. I think it's fun training and stuff, but I really love competing. That's what I want to do, and that's why I wrestle so much throughout the year. And so that's the biggest part about, I think, being a competitor at this stage is just not being afraid of competition and being enthusiastic when you're on the mat.
You have this unique dynamic where in 2015 you were the young guy, in 2016 you were the young guy. When you won gold, you set the record, right, for being the youngest to win the gold medal. And now you're, a decade later, you're still here, and you're the veteran on the team, and you're seeing young guys, the Nick Lees of the world come up, Yannis, and so on. What's the difference between the two? I mean, what's it like being the young guy? Is there any mentality shift, or I don't know. I mean, sometimes young guys just, they just go for broke. They don't care. They don't think about it. And maybe I don't know what the veteran perspective is, but how do you contrast that from your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it doesn't feel a whole lot different, in regards to like my love for wrestling and wanting to be on the mat. I think the difference is that I've been through it a bunch of times, so been tracking what I've been doing and becoming more efficient with my training and how I peak and my mentality towards wrestling and learning new things. So just having been in the sport longer, I think that helps. And nothing really is surprising to me. Haven't done it so many times, but I think I got a lot in common with the young guys because we're all just trying to get better at wrestling and compete to the best of our ability. The NCAA finals 6-7 months before that. It's kind of crazy that I ended up being the world champion that year, and that's just a testimony to what God can do and with somebody. And then I'd also say 2022 because having not won since 2017, I just got used to winning at the World Championships and the Olympics, so having not won for that long of a time, it felt good to be back on top. So, yeah.
Can you talk about those, so 17 to 22, that time period where you're getting close, right? And I'll point to a way that you're there, right, you're the world champion. What's that like for you? How are you navigating that, I don't want to say struggle, but that mental journey, if you will, to get back on top?
I mean, just keep coming in and working to get better. And I mean, that's a part. I'd say the biggest part, though, is just being faithful to God and focusing on my faith in Him and living the way that He wants me to. I think everybody works hard in the wrestling room and things like that, but I think sometimes your personal life can get in the way of competing to your best. So I just remind myself that God's my strength and I'm going to rely on Him, and He's in control of the results, so I want to live the way He wants me to.
Looking forward a little bit, we're now in the Olympic year, post-World Championships, looking towards the Olympics. You've done it a couple times before. Can you explain to people what the difference is this year compared to any other year where it's a normal World Championship? I mean, it seems like the eyes of the world sort of linger on us more than they do in any other year.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the process is different. You got to actually qualify for the Olympics. Anybody that wrestles in a continental championship can wrestle at the World Championships, but only 16 wrestlers compete at the Olympics. So we have 4 of the 6 weight classes currently qualified. We still have to qualify 57 and 65 kilo, and you do that at the Pan Am Championships. So that's in February or early March. So that's important. And then there's only 6 weight classes at the Olympics instead of 10. So the weights shrink and get even denser than they currently are, and weight classes get tougher. And then, we have the Olympic trials in April. That'll be a best 2 out of 3 in the finals, and whoever wins that will go to the Olympics and compete in the summer. And everybody, I mean, for me as a competitor, I don't really see it as a different thing. You know, the World Championships in the Olympics, or really anything I compete in. Like, I'm wrestling as hard as I can, but the reality is, you know, Olympic champion just means more to people, means more to the world. So that could add pressure.
Can you compare your two previous Olympic experiences? Rio, definitely a lot different than Tokyo. You know, for one, there's nobody in the stands in Tokyo.
Yeah.
For the most part, right? But it's just, what were the key differences for you? How did those experiences differ?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thankful that I was able to wrestle in the 16 Olympics, like getting the normal Olympic experience, because once I had that experience, I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything in Tokyo. So, like, having been to the opening ceremonies and in the village and seeing all the different athletes and stuff like that, I was like, all right, I did that, you know, like, but at the end of the day, competition is what I'm here for, and that's what I'm excited about. But when you don't get to experience that at all, then you're always wondering what it's going to be like. So that was the main difference between 16 and 20. You didn't really have the full Olympic experience in 2020. So Lord willing, 2024, you know, the guys on the team will get to experience that.
You said earlier, you know, to people winning the Olympic champion, it just means more, it means something. That's you, right? You're an Olympic champion. How do you hold that, like, in your mind and your heart? How does that sit with you as you go through your day-to-day? I'm sure you don't think about it every day, right? But, like, maybe you do. Maybe you know, you walk by your medal and like, hey, what's up? But, you know, I think that Olympic ideology, like, it seems there's something bigger, like you represent your country on top of your sport, and it's just a big deal, right, to be an Olympic gold medalist. How does that sit with you?
As a competitor, you know, like, because I don't even feel like I'm close to where I can be, and not even near, like, the end of my career, Lord willing. It's, you know, I don't really even think about it much at all. So I'm thankful to have accomplished that, but it just doesn't feel like, it doesn't really feel like I've accomplished anything in my career. Because I'm just, like, thinking about the future and wanting to compete and wrestle better and win more, you know. So it's hard for me to look back at this point.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So when you look forward, you're always looking forward. Where do you know? Hopefully you have a lot of gas in the tank, right? You're doing this for a couple more Olympic cycles, right? Maybe we get to 5 or 6,
Yeah.
or whatever Lopez is at. You got to do that. But what do you want your legacy to be when you're done? Do you think about that at all?
I think about that a little bit. I mean, I'm not too concerned about being remembered as a great wrestler or anything that I've accomplished in the sport, but I want people to see my faith in Jesus, and for that to be impactful, and for them to see God's love, and for them to see someone that trusts God with their whole life. And so that's the most important thing. And, you know, I've got to meet a lot of people, and you get to talk to a lot of different people and from all over the world. So it's really an amazing opportunity to share God's love.
You know, you've been at this for a while. You've won everything there is to win, technically. You won every tournament that's been put in front of you. What keeps you motivated? Competition, right? Is it just, you know, getting up and preparing for that moment? You just love that moment so much?
Ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted to be the best at whatever I was doing, and always been competitive and loved to compete. So I think God put that in me, and I'm motivated by just knowing that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And if God wants me to do something else, I know He'll tell me, and I'll be able to hear it. But right now, this is what He wants me to do. So I'm going to do it as smart as I can and as hard as I can, until he tells me to stop.
Pan Am Games coming up 2 weeks now. It's basically a mini Olympics for people who haven't been or seen it. It's kind of that same setup, the village, and the, all that stuff. But you've been here before. You've won this event before. What makes this event? I think you're one of you're a handful of the world teamers, the number ones going to this event. Why compete in this event? What makes this event stand out to you?
I like the Pan Am Games. It's like a mini Olympics, so and that it's fun. And also, I'm not going to let anybody else compete in my weight class. So, in a competition like that, I want to win the Pan Am Games and the Pan Am Championships as much as I can. So, that's another thought in my mind.
I'm going to go off script for just a second because, talking earlier, you have a wife, you have a son now. I'm just curious how being a father has changed you and shaped you. For me, it's completely changed my perspective on life and what I do every day and how I go about my business. Curious what that's like for you.
Yeah, it's a good challenge. You have to put a lot of effort into your marriage and being a father if you want it to be successful and for you guys to grow closer and to raise good kids and stuff, faithful kids. So I love that. I love being a leader. It's another thing that I've just always, whenever I was always the team captain or whatever of any team that I was on. So I love having a family and being able to grow together and care for one another. And in regards to my perspective, it's always about doing what God wants us to do. So that's stayed the same, but now there's more. I feel like I have less control over kind of my kids, it seems like they can make decisions and it might be challenging, so it just tests my faith because I know if I take care of what God thinks is important, He'll take care of what I think is important, which is my wife and my kids. And right now I just have a son, my son. So I have to be faithful.
Awesome. We'll end this on a fun one. So Ohio State, Penn State, this Saturday.
Yeah.
Big deal. Both undefeated. Give us your score prediction. Curious on this.
Yeah.
We got a little tied to both now. So give us your score. Who's going to win, and then Final Four. Who makes your Final Four?
This is a good question. I got Ohio State winning. I think it's going to be a good game. Penn State's good. So, but the fact that it's at Ohio State is important. We got a young quarterback, so that's tough, but I think he's going to play well. He's been playing better each week. I don't know what the score is going to be. I think Ohio State will win by 10 points. So we'll say 34-24, Ohio State. And then Final Four prediction, we'll go Georgia, Ohio State, Penn State, and Florida State.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Cool. Appreciate it, bud.
Thanks.